Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Tinker, Tailor, Solder, Fry. I'll be your host, Cameron, tonight, and we are going to be painting more Silver Tower miniatures. I've done 3 in the last 7 years, or however it's long it's been since we've bought this set, and, well, here we go. We're currently working on the Dwarven Fire Slayer. Yeah, we updated the info, so if you're seeing that, please refresh. But rest assured, I'm painting miniatures tonight. So, all right. What do you say we just get to it, shall we? All right. So, what we need to continue doing on this guy is I want to bring up the detail on his hair a little bit. And no, I'm not going to be playing Magic. I'm doing this. Okay, yeah, I need to work on his hair a little bit and his cloth. So let's get right into it. Well, that's a shame. So I'm going to work a bit on the gold also on him. Now, the thing with gold paint is that it's quite miserable. It doesn't cover things very well. Yeah, we're going to, it might take a couple layers, but you know, thin your paints. It doesn't really matter if you have to take a couple of layers, if your paints are adequately thinned down. Before we get too deep into things, I want to thank Corey for being over there on tech.
You're welcome.
Tech people make the world go round, so chat, give a big thanks to Corey. We worked on the runes on his back last week. But yeah, otherwise you can see him coming along quite nicely. Previous models include this dude, who I'm given to understand is some kind of Sigmarite space marine in the new setting. Then we've got a war priest. And I think the Mistweaver is one of the new sea elves, but I'm not exactly certain what the lore is behind her. If anyone knows, I would love to know. If you could share that, I would be definitely interested in finding out.
So, Cameron, Paul suggested I load up some music for the stream. How do you feel about that?
I enjoy music. What do we have on tap tonight?
We have the standard Big Giant Circles or a streaming service called Pretzel.
I think I've had good experiences with Pretzel. I've recognized some of the artists on it.
All right, let's give that a go.
Yeah, I think we listen to a lot of Big Giant Circles, and to be fair, he's a friend of ours, and he's quite good. But let's see what else is out there, shall we? For stream licensed music. Also, chat, if you're
so far it goes unts.
At one point in my life, I was quite enthusiastic about music that went unts. But I find it helpful when I'm working on projects like this, to know that other people are working on similar projects. Anyone else out there currently painting something or engaged in some other kind of creative activity? Also, it's probably worth mentioning that you can't have a beer and pretzels war game like Warhammer without the beer. So tonight I'm enjoying a German Pilsner that someone brought to the moon base as a gift, and it's crispy, let me tell you.
Was that from the Parallel 49 mix?
It was.
Yeah, so that would be from Mr. Fix-It.
Oh, well, Mr. Fix-It, if you're in chat, cheers. Or Proust? Something?
Skull.
Yeah, Skull.
Yeah. I'm just gonna run and get me one of those.
Ooh,
if there
sounds
are any
good.
left. Yeah.
This was the last of the Pilsners. There's a lot of like,
Yeah, give me that mix case.
yeah, it was a variety pack from a local brewery, I think, called Parallel 49. This was the lowest alcohol content on it, 5%.
Yeah, I had the Imperial Stout last week.
Ooh.
Which was quite good.
Salut! There, that's more my speed. Because I'm pretentious. Okay. So I was thinking about, like, what kind of metal his axes should be made out of. And, you know, back in my day, dwarves in Warhammer made their axes out of gromril, I think it was called, which was like the dwarven magical metal. I think it was star metal, generally. And I seem to remember it being like a darker gray metal, but I don't remember if it was dull or especially shiny. Neither would surprise me. But I never really played dwarves. For a guy who doesn't drink beers often, what kind of light beers would you enjoy the best? I mean, here at the office, we have many people with very differing opinions on what kind of beers they enjoy. I am a West Coast degenerate, so I like IPAs.
I've just cracked open a black IPA.
Interesting. Category 12 makes a really nice one.
Yes. Well, Category 12 makes a lot of really nice things.
It's true. But I know Graham likes darker beers. James likes, drinkable lagers. Corey, what do you prefer?
I'm all over the place.
Okay.
I like a good stout or porter, but I am into the IPAs this summer. Ian likes sours.
Right, yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Well, I mean, they're intensive. Like, they're labor intensive, both to drink and to produce, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Ian likes things that are like a sipping beer. Like there was what was it? That black licorice beer.
Oh,
a while
yeah.
ago. That was just like, I could have maybe a half cup of that.
That's intense. Oh, thank you very much, Arclight Dynamo. Yeah, it's like a darker gray. It's okay. I think I can replicate something like that. That's very much like what we already have here. I just don't want this to look, like it's low effort, right? This guy should look good for the amount of work we've put into him. And I'm not sure whether dwarves in the Age of Sigmar, or what are they called now? Because a couple of years ago, Games Workshop went around and slightly adjusted all the names on all of their armies to things that they could trademark, right? So the Eldar became the Eldari, right? The Imperial Guard became the Astra Militarum, right? Literally the space army, right? And that's usually just the title on the book. Inside the book, they're like, These people, or as they are also known, this, which will be referring to them for the rest of this text, Duarden. Now, okay. Is their language still Khazalid? I remember liking that word when I encountered it in Warhammer.
So I will note for the chat, though, we do not have a Trader Joe's. We do often go to the U.S. So notes on what to pick up where are welcome.
We may be finding ourselves in the United States at the end of next month.
Yeah, for a good week and a half for me.
Really? Oh, you go to Dev, don't you?
No, I'm going to XXO.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that should be awesome.
I'm very excited.
I would love to go to XOXO, but I have nothing to contribute or learn from. But it sounds like a cool group of people.
Several of the guests I saw perform on the Joko cruise this year, and other ones I missed their shows and found out about them later, but they're doing them at XOXO, and so I'm very excited.
Oh, okay.
As well as people like the Bill Wirtz and Lindsay Ellis coming for like doing video talks, and other guests in the lineup. Other game devs that are there are going to be displaying stuff like Miniko's Night Market and etc.
Okay, cool. Simrail, use a really bright silver on the very edges of the blade in my experience. Oh yeah, I mean, like, we'll definitely be highlighting this. I just wanted to make sure that the base color was accurate for what, anyone who knew these things would expect to see. I don't know if Fire Slayers in Age of Sigmar are still the previously disgraced dwarves that they were in Warhammer Fantasy Battles. This guy seems to be carrying around some fairly elaborate weapons. I'd assume that maybe Slayers are more high status than they were last time I checked in on Warhammer. Either that or they just gave him stuff they thought looked cool. They are now a society unto themselves? Oh, okay then. I use actual GW paints for many things. In particular, I like their... Well, I guess these aren't even available anymore. These inks. This is probably from like early 2000s. Does this have a date on it? Trademark of Games Workshop Limited. Batch number, no, this doesn't have a date of production on it, but this is probably from like 2000, these inks, and they are IMO the best thing Games Workshop ever produced. So I have a pot of flesh ink and red ink. I've heard the new ink washes described as liquid skill are an gold-dependent society of mercenary dwarves. Okay. So I've just mixed a little silver paint into our gold paint, and I'll be highlighting a little bit of the gold detailing. Just to pick out the edges. I mean, gold doesn't, as far as I understand, doesn't look like this. I don't know if I own anything that's actually made of gold to use as reference. But, in miniature, things don't always... You have to make some tough decisions sometimes with how things look in miniature, because the way things scale or are visible is not always easily translatable. So, just mixed in a little bit of silver into the gold, and then we'll be applying a bit of a wash to give it some depth. Metals are really kind of easy to work with, I find, if the coverage of the paint is good. If anyone more familiar with Games Workshop products has been keeping track of it, does anyone know when the House Cawdor miniatures are coming out for Necromunda? Oh, I don't have that wash, Simrail. I don't think I've bought... I haven't bought any paint from Games Workshop in about 5 or 6 years. Actually, no, probably longer than that. What year is this? 2018? Maybe 8 years? Oh, I definitely like the Cawdors. The gang I used to play when I played Necromunda way back when, last century, was the Delac. And I really liked how the Delac were described as having these whispery, high-pitched voices, because my friends and I read that, and a friend of mine immediately started with the, what's his name, Pallbearer voice, Undertaker's hype man from WWE, the guy who's like, "Ooh," right, and he's holding up the, yeah. And after that, that was the only way I could think of them. Okay, so we've got a little bit of highlighting. I'm just going to apply a bit of flesh wash to the gold and see how it takes it. Prometheus Theus. I'd always heard, like, the best description. I don't know where I heard this, actually, but I really liked one description of Howling Banshees not actually producing a noise that you could really articulate or describe, so much as a feeling. Because their mask produces, like, a psionic effect, right? Less a noise and more of just, like... It would be like trying to describe how a bass note sounds. Only it hits you in, like, the pit of the stomach. Flesh wash is really nice over gold because it gives it a little bit of, like, warmth and depth without losing kind of the quality of the gold color. Being careful to pick out the rivets here. I mean, if I was a real proper modeling grognard, I would either be using pastel washes or oil washes. Oil washes are well regarded because they have very low surface tension, so they tend to sink into small details quite easily.
Really? I'd assume they're kind of like oil paint, like wall paint, and be like super thick.
Oh, well, I mean, the stuff that you use for modeling is much finer. It's a completely different formulation. So,
More like just tinted oil, like canola oil or something like that.
yeah. They're, I think it might even be a mineral kind of.
Oh yeah, so very slippery.
Yeah. You have to use turpentine to clean it though, or to clean your brushes afterwards. It's messy stuff, but the effect can be quite dramatic when used well. Okay, so I'm liking, I'm using a mixture of both Vallejo and Games Workshop paint here. I'm using Vallejo Metallics, mainly because they're what I have rather than a strict preference for them. Games Workshop also produces many fine colors, but the only bad paints I found are the ones that you get from like the dollar store in like the big tubes. Acrylic. I mean, with paint, you largely get what you pay for, in my experience. some reason I completely misinterpreted what some of the details were here, and I wound up painting the beard on his, what is it, the helmet crest? His if you can see
He has
here.
a helmet beard?
Yeah, well, as you can see, the crest on his helmet comes up to like a face up here.
Right.
And there's a beard that comes down off of it. And I painted that beard as if it was like a forelock of hair that had been pulled through the helmet, but I don't think that's... I think
it's a metal beard.
Yeah, I think it's a metal beard. So we want the axes to just look like they've got a bit of an edge on them. So I'm going to be trying to give them a sense of that with a little bit of silver paint, and we're going to touch up the edge of the axe with silver over its gunmetal, and then just try to pull back little lines to indicate maybe the grain of metal. Not go overboard.
Hey, should I let Windows restart the computer right now?
Oh yeah, that's probably totally fine, right? That's probably exactly what we need.
Yeah, it just did like a modal pop-up that covered the entire screen. It was great.
Yeah. Hey, I noticed you're broadcasting right now. And I know this because I'm the operating system and I have access to literally everything the computer is doing.
Yeah, I can see like you're like pegging a CPU. You're using a lot of memory.
Yep.
Broadcasting, streaming data.
Yeah, so this is probably an okay time to shut down, right? I noticed you haven't saved in a while. That update had better be super important. This had better be like the Rylocks are attacking from Dimension X through your computer. How much would it be if you wanted to start painting miniatures? Like if you were commissioning? I mean, that's a big ask, right? Because you need to be fast, right? Because people don't want to wait months for their army. So you have to be able to commit large amounts of time to it. And on the other hand, right, like, you don't want to undervalue your work because it's honestly quite a lot of work, painting miniatures. Right now I'm just putting a little bit more white into his runes to make them look like they're glowing on the inside. So that's a fine balance, right? You have to paint really well. You have to paint very quickly. And the people I've known who have been successful at it usually wind up with some kind of repetitive stress injury. Because they literally have, like, it has to be a full-time job in order if you want to do it. One guy I knew who painted miniatures professionally had his office chair arms built up with blocks of foam so that
That's a good idea.
so that he could rest his elbows on them.
Just near his face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But his office chair was like this Frankenstein's monster of like things built up to his exact specifications, right? I think he had his lamp mounted on the back of the thing instead of from over the shoulder, right? So that it wouldn't project any shadows from where he was looking.
Just think of ye olden day English monks doing illumination in manuscripts.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Just all hunched over on their hard wooden benches.
You know, if you approached me right now and said, "Hey, there's a Trappist monastery opening, and they're just gonna make chairs,"
Huh.
I'd be like, "Yeah, I could pretend to be Catholic, I guess. You know, you get a bed, you get, you know, all you do is you go and make chairs or beer or
And
cheese,
do your prayer and
do your prayers, and then
get Get a little room.
Yeah, get a tiny little cell.
I think that's the part that I really like about, was it Anathem?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the grad student Trappist monks,
Exactly.
basically.
They're like doing advanced science and cryptography things, and
I was tweeting today about how I really enjoy science fiction settings that develop the fiction and the folklore of their universe, and that was something I really
posted a kind of a calligraphy image with a quote.
It was from
kind of alongside that.
Yeah, it was from BSG, but like that was something I really appreciated that Neil Stephenson did in Anathem.
Yeah.
Was that the monks had like he actually commissioned someone to write their chants.
Oh.
He put out an album of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of them was Lament for the Third Sack. Right? And I'm like, sack.
Yeah, we got a lot of sacks.
Yeah.
A lot of sacks in our history.
But it's it's strange, right? Because it's the structure for that album was based heavily on stuff like cellular automata.
Yes.
And I mean, it was profoundly dweeby, but I'm like, I appreciate that you thought of what this world is like, right? Because frequently when people do world building, they're like, oh, this is what their technology is, right?
But there's no social.
Yeah, there's no social space, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are their sports, right? Who are their heroes, right? What are all the things that don't have game mechanics?
What are you told is the ideal grown-up?
Yeah, exactly. What are the social pressures on their children, right? These are all the things I want to know.
So we've ended up with big giant circles anyways.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that he's in here.
Yeah.
I heard Chipcell has music on this service as well because she licenses her music under
Hope we
a
run
streaming
into, like,
license.
Tokyo Skies then.
Yeah, that would be kind of neat. That's her new one, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, okay. I don't know then.
I'm no Chipsel expert.
There's a Jesuit priest from California going to the Vatican to run their enterprise servers.
That's kind of funny.
Well, the Pope's a Jesuit, isn't he?
Francis?
Yeah, I
That
thought he was a Jesuit.
sounds correct.
El Fuzzy, I've heard really good things about Warframe, and I've been told that I'd really enjoy it. The caveat that my friends who play it have told me is that the first 100 hours or so of gameplay is kind of a slog, and after you get into that, once you get through that, it's an excellent game.
It's like how people describe Monster Hunter.
Yeah, and I'm
Or
like,
Dark Souls.
yeah,
Do
exactly.
you have room for another Dark Souls in your life?
I don't know that I do, right? I've heard Warframe is excellent though. Like a couple or one
Especially
of the
as a free game.
yeah. Well, one of the big lore dweebs from the Destiny community has started doing Warframe lore videos.
Oh.
So I'm like, oh, I guess the lore must be good too. Right?
Must
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah. Well, because like, this is how much of a mark I am, right? I ordered the Destiny Grimoire hardcover book,
Oh.
Volume 1. That was announced today. It'll be shipping in September.
What's the cover? Like, what's it made of?
It's I tweeted. I don't know.
Okay,
I
that's fine.
just saw it and I'm like, border, right? Like,
Because, like, based on the lore of Destiny and, like, the setup of, like, the first run of Grimoire cards, I would just expect it to be, like, so aesthetic.
yeah, like the page sample they had on the website was from the Books of Sorrow, and it's just Okay, fine, you got me. You got me. You got
Yeah.
my money, Bungo.
Good job.
Yeah. I mean, way to go. You finally published the thing that people have been asking for 2 years. Maybe at some point they'll base a video game off their lore book. That would be nice. That would be nice if they based a video game off this lore book.
What's that? You have to capture more points, Guardian? You're falling behind, Guardian.
Those points are your life. I know, Shax. Tell them.
Oh man, have you heard Japanese Shax?
Is he so enthusiastic?
He's so good.
Huh. I'd imagine that he's just like... Is the term zanshin? Zanshin, like emotional intensity?
Don't know if that's the term, but yeah.
I'd imagine he's got it in spades.
Yeah,
Where he's just
your
like giving-
dad, he's cheering for you.
He's just giving like 1,000%.
Yeah. You gotta win. You gotta get those points.
Just outlining some of the gold in black so that it has a bit of a shadow without actually trying to get any on the black. Or on the gold, I mean.
Gotta keep it straight.
Yeah, well, it otherwise it looks bad. It doesn't look like gold anymore. You have to use it to do borders, not shading. Gold is very finicky as a color at these scales. It's honestly kind of a pain in the dick. But it looks nice, and people expect to see it. Oh, Tacitus Vigil, you need a 20 kill streak to have Lord Saladin go die. Same VA from...
Oh, as Reaper?
Yeah, it's Reaper's VA.
That makes a lot of
Or
sense.
Reaper is Lord Saladin's VA.
A lot of my friends find Saladin creepy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're just like, oh, I like Shax, but that other guy, I don't like doing Iron Banner because Saladin's such a creep.
Yeah.
And so that makes a lot of sense.
Old Man Saladin is kind of old and bitter. In my day, Guardians would just be, killing each other right here for no reason whatsoever. You can die, what are you afraid of? Your ghost will just bring you back. I'm like, yeah, that didn't work out so hot for you in the backstory, Saladin.
True.
There's a reason they stuck you all the way out there on Fellwinter Peak. How did you get in here anyway?
He's like, I climbed.
Did they let you carry your gong in here every week, or do they like?
I think the gong must have a special transport.
Do you store your burning gong here? Like, do they let you roll it away into a storage room, or do you have to carry it?
Well, they used to just shut the door on you, so you couldn't even see.
Oh, really? In the
Right.
original tower?
Yeah.
Now he's just like in the middle of the mall,
Yep.
right? And I think like everyone's like, well, I don't want to tell him to move. But yeah, Old Man Saladin is just like standing around in the middle of the mall. He's rolled up everyone else's carpet stand. He's like, the Iron Banner is the truest test of Guardians. And security is like, sir, this is a subway.
Yeah, there's just a sweeper robot, and they're like, okay, you move here now. And the sweeper's like, sweep, sweep.
He's just talking to people.
Yep. He gets lonely.
All right. At some point, the perfect is the enemy of the good. I need to do his eyes, I need to do his cloth, but I think for the most part, this guy's tabletop ready.
Yeah, for sure. Like his fleshiness and his hair.
I really
On
want
point.
I really want the flesh on all of these figures to look like they smell like beef jerky.
Yes, and I've heard you say that, so I'm keeping that in mind in my evaluation of his sun-warmed skin.
Yeah, I guess I tend to repeat myself. That's how you know you're old. You keep telling the same stories over and over again.
And this one time in 40K.
I watched, in a game of Warhammer Fantasy Battles, an orc and goblin giant jump up and down on a unit of Bretonnian Pegasus Knights 30 times, generating 30 wounds, I think. And the Bretonnian player saved all but one of them with his 5+ invulnerable save on a die 6. That was a mad dude. That dude was mad.
I've just spent the last while trying to remember what we were talking about before Warframe, and I'm not sure it's necessarily a valuable conversation, but last night I watched Silence, the Scorsese film about the Jesuits in Japan.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Huh.
And it's
I didn't
very
even...
weird to see Kylo Ren and Spider-Man as Portuguese Jesuits.
I can imagine. When did that come out?
I think it was like last year. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
Well then.
I cannot believe Scorsese captured like the Japanese period aesthetic so on the nose.
Huh. Which Spider-Man?
Andrew Garfield.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they're trying to save Liam Neeson. But it's just like all that introspective doubt and preaching and trying to deal with the language barrier and it being illegal and, potential torture and bad stuff.
Oh, right, yeah, because... Yeah, well, the Portuguese had that little island that they were allowed to have, weren't they?
That was later.
Later? Okay.
And mostly the Dutch.
Oh, it was the Dutch. I thought it was the... Yeah, okay.
The Dutch had a port later on. Or
okay.
Mostly that they had exclusive rights to enter.
Right.
But this was like 200 years before Christianity was legal.
Gotcha.
That's right, chat. The Dutch.
Needs eyes. You should have eyes. So to do eyes, you start off with a black undercoat in the eye sockets. And frequently, actually, you can stop there if your detail isn't good. It's better to have eyes that are black in the sockets than eyes that are white in the sockets. Because
they stand out and look really large if they're bright, don't they?
Yeah, like the white. Inexperienced painters frequently will do like a drop of white, and that drop is bigger than you think it is, so all your miniatures look like they're really surprised. Which is may be appropriate for 40K, if you're an Imperial Guardsman facing down a Carnifex, then you might just be like, but it's generally better to have start off with dark eye sockets and then work your way up from there. Yeah, you can have glowing eyes sometimes. Sometimes. So we'll let that dry and work on other things in the interim. He's got like a loincloth and a belt. So you can see the loincloth there. And then the belt is just kind of primed white right now. What? Mm-hmm. There we go. And I need to figure out what color I want to do that in.
You weren't going to leave it white?
Maybe. I don't know. Where do I recommend buying paintbrushes?
Art supply stores?
Yeah, art supply stores. Again, paintbrushes are another thing where you really get what you pay for.
Yeah.
It is possible to pay too much money for brushes, but the cheap ones are usually going to be terrible. They'll fall apart.
They'll leave hair.
Yeah. Oh, a green color. Yeah, I could see that. With the other miniatures in this set, for the hero miniatures, I've been going with like a fairly like toned down color scheme. Like a lot of black, a lot of like pale blue, and a lot of like red. So I think I might actually want to keep that going. Like, if you look at the Hyperion War Priest, his robes are white with red trim. But yeah, like the cloak on the, I keep wanting to call them Repulsor Knights, but that was from a different game entirely. The Knight Questor. Whew, Reinhard. Yeah. That is the life of an Imperial Guardsman right there. Just about to be mortally surprised by just anything. Just anything. Also, the miniature isn't really finished being built yet because we still have to put in his sideburn. He has a whole sideburn that needs to be attached.
Oh.
Right
yeah,
there.
That stands out right now.
See, he's got a little notch on his chest. And this just goes...
Just a big flowy cape of hair.
Yep. That'll just go on right there. An auxiliary beard.
I mean, if your hair grows into your beard, is it beard?
I don't know. Or if it's just like, is your face right now just an island in a sea of beard?
I know mine is.
I feel that way sometimes working here. I want to suggest that one time for a Commodore Hustle subplot where Beej and I are just like, are we the only ones here who don't have beards?
And then just Heather and I can, and
Yeah.
Kathleen can just peek and it's like, no.
No, but you would have beards in this, I feel. I feel if Beej and I are having this conversation, it's
I
like,
can
yeah,
start working on that now.
yeah, ever since Adam grew his beard out, right?
Oh.
I think we're the only ones here. And it's like, you know, and just casually have you and Kathleen and Heather with like fake beards. As we play it into like this invasion of the body snatchers kind of thing.
But can it be like, what is it, Cocoon, where it's just like, we're old and we want to feel better?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, yeah. Fucking A, give her shit. You know, Wilford Brimley was the same age. Wilford Brimley in Cocoon is the same age that Tom Cruise was in the previous Mission Impossible movie.
No.
Yeah.
No. Oh, I'm excited for the new one. Just to see it.
I've heard it's fun.
That's it. That's all I want.
I've heard they're fun movies.
I've liked the last two quite a bit.
I haven't seen any of them, actually. Confession time. Yeah, I know, scandalous. I'm behind on my franchises. More gold. Actually, Corey, would you mind making a chat poll for me?
Okay.
I don't know if you have the technology to do that.
I can straw poll.
Okay. I would like to know, once I finish the Fire Slayer, whether chat wants to see me build something called a Tenebrael Shard, Tenebrael Shard, or something called a Dark Oath Chieftain. And that's all you get. If you don't know the miniatures, then pick one with I don't know, the name that you want to see. So wait for the chat. You have to wait for the
Poll incoming. Oops. It makes a frowny face instead of the link. I don't know why.
Weird. It's showing up in my chat.
Oh.
Clearly. Can you click on that chat?
Yeah, it shows the kind of frowny face for me.
Weird. It's working?
Weird.
Link works?
Yeah,
Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah, we Gucci? Okay. The Tenebrael Shard, if you are curious, someone in chat just actually described him as a very spiky boy.
Ah.
Yeah. A very spiky dark elf boy.
Do you have anything similar arrayed? What's that like griffin looking thing in the back?
Oh, this is the War Priest's pet.
Aw.
I need to paint him too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose he is a good boy.
Yeah, they all look good together.
Oh man, those cowards didn't paint the holes in his leather pants properly. Executive Hollow, the official paint job doesn't have the holes in his pants painted properly. Cowards! Okay. I really feel like the runes are doing a lot of the heavy lifting for the blue on this guy. Because if we're looking at like black, red, blue, or black, red, light blue, sky blue, then I think the runes are doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a nice contrast with like the orangey reds.
Yeah.
So it's
So
like
I think it
your
should be a
option is
black.
Kind of like, yeah, dark brown or black or.
I think I'll go with black. I mean, surprise for me. I'm painting something black.
Ooh.
I know. Controversial. I don't know how colorful the Fire Slayers are supposed to be. Dwarves in Warhammer were always quite interesting because they were like, they were very dour and pessimistic and doomed feeling, right?
So a bit like Dragon Age dwarves.
Yeah, they were very bitter, right? They were mad about everything all the time, right? Like their kings kept books of grudges, right? For slights, that would be repaid in full in time to their satisfaction. And I don't know if the Fire Slayers are like that at all, or if maybe they're a little more chill. Yeah, that description of them, that's going in the book. You rolling your eyes at them saying it's going in the book, also going in the book. Dying before you pay it off, going in the book. Dwarves, please get help.
Hey, some chipsel.
Hey. I'm mainly familiar of her work through Super Hexagon.
That's what this is.
Oh. Maybe
And yes, I desperately love Super Hexagon's soundtrack.
that would explain why I've suddenly started sweating. Something like, no! Want to feel old? Super Hexagon came out 30 years ago today.
Yeah, living and working in video games is kind of like that. Where it's like, some games are in development for like a decade.
Yeah?
And they haven't come out yet. But maybe they'll come out.
I mean, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, like, all that work hopefully comes out. But yeah, I imagine that there are things that people work on for just a very long time and then they move on. And, you know, do you keep track of all the projects that you've ever worked on?
Me?
Yeah.
Kind of. I have graveyards in my computer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I keep carrying them all forward. I can't even run a bunch of them now. I also, maybe have a problem with trying out new engines. Whereas there's a new engine announced. I will install it and try to make something.
Well, I mean, that seems like a useful way of keeping skills sharp or developing new skills.
It's
Right.
a useful way to take up a lot of computer space.
Is it though? Like, I wouldn't doubt that it takes up a lot of computer space, but is it useful?
Oh. It's not great when your computer kind of chugs along running lumberyard.
How's your experience with Unity? I've been hearing a lot of different things from different people about it. Some people are like, oh yeah, it's really easy to work with, and other people are like, there's nothing even remotely good about this.
So at WTF Game Jam a couple years ago, Andrew was working on a VR thing, and he had the choice between going with Unreal or Unity, and he tried Unreal, and he spent about a day trying to make a box blue. And in Unity, that takes about 30 seconds. So there's different things that Unity is very easy with.
Okay.
If you want a character to walk up some stairs, you might have some problems.
Okay. That is fair.
Yeah, the Unity physics engine causes some interesting things, because once objects intersect, it will try to separate them.
Oh. I could see how that would go.
Possible.
So, like, explosively.
Yeah.
Does it conserve momentum in those situations?
Yeah.
Neat. I mean, that's probably like a giant pain.
Oh, so you can just lose your player character while trying to walk up a simple incline.
Huh.
It'll go blasting off again, or maybe it'll get like one of its leg joints embedded in the ground.
Huh.
Sort of like the old Skyrim bugs with the horses.
Right, right. Is that a problem with how it does, like, edge detection, or...?
Just the physics collision speed. If it's using its default physics.
I'm glad the universe doesn't have these problems.
Yes. Triosynth modeling ladder climbing isn't a thing. Like, it's either you have just a fixed animation that you time correctly, or you use, like, IK, like an inverse kinematics, to make the character grab onto and touch the bars correctly. But it's just like, you're just moving the character up and down. Yeah, the thing with video games is that the things you see on the screen aren't necessarily how they're represented in the physics system. Like, stairs can be just a giant incline,
Right.
but it looks like stairs.
I mean, I guess whatever cheats? Workarounds?
Yeah,
Yeah.
solutions.
Yeah, solutions.
You just have to make it look good.
Right.
Enough.
It has to make sense to the player, and it has to make sense to the engine. Whether it's actually a faithful reproduction of what you want it to be reproducing. Right. Is probably quite immaterial. Is this how a person actually climbs stairs? God, I hope not. But it's parsable to the player, and the engine doesn't throw you off the screen
Yep.
when you do it. So, perfect.
Especially when you have games that, like, characters can jump in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how high can a real person jump?
Like a foot.
Yeah, like a foot, whereas games, it's like 1.5 height.
Yeah, like the Quake guy can just be like,
Yeah. There's also no physics in Quake.
I wouldn't be surprised to learn that.
Yeah, when the engine went open source, it was great to just dig around in. Just be like, oh, that's how bullets work.
I really want to look at how do they, because id has its own very specific way of noting things, right, and commenting.
Yep. There's like an entire coding convention that's id based.
Really?
Yep.
Is it useful?
Oh, very much, especially if
Okay.
you're all on the same page, because then it's
Well,
just like,
yeah, I guess it's the nature of
using,
conventions,
like,
right?
inner caps for variable naming versus class naming, lowercase starting letter, whether or not you name private variables with like an underscore or a P in front of them, or things like that.
Okay.
A lot of modern IDEs help a lot because you can directly trace where variables are used and referenced, but older or just text-based editors don't. So having something standard is very nice. Like brackets online or next line is always a big debate,
Okay.
just for readability.
Because when I was doing my degree, I had to do a little bit of coding, right? And having to invent my own conventions on what things looked like sucked. Because I would do whatever made sense to me at the time. And then having to try to explain it to somebody else. Because I've never done any actual comp sci, right? I just looked at other people's code and was like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
Right? And then be like, it works.
Yeah, like my, I guess, approach to programming is a little odd because it is more language based than technical. Like I'm not actually a technical mathematic person.
Okay.
Like I can learn very quickly how to do some things, but if you want to make me like model a lighting system, I can't do that. But if you want like character that moves around in a circle, sure, easy.
Okay.
It's like, you need an AI system, sure. Like inventory, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you find enjoyable to do? Like, what's your dream niche?
Ooh, that's hard.
Because do you wind up hyper specializing in games, or do you need to all be generalists?
It depends on how many people are working with you.
Okay.
If you're at a company that's like 500 people or something, you can be a person whose job it is to make eyeball shaders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a specific job that I've heard of BioWare.
Okay,
At
right.
least for one time for like the Mass Effect cinematics.
Right, right, right.
It's just like there was a person whose job was to make eyes look correct.
Hmm.
But if you're like in a place of like 5 people,
Then everyone has to know how to do everything, including like narrative design.
potentially, yeah. And production and business and marketing and
Oh, did you read that article today about was it today or was it yesterday?
I don't know.
About how
today I've all been in meetings and getting my hair did.
Somebody posted an article about how there were spoilers in the opening scene of the new God of War game,
Uh-huh.
and the reply was that's called foreshadowing.
Yes.
That's called foreshadowing.
Yes.
And it was just like the latest gamers are illiterate, like plebs thing. And I'm like, oh, I want to comment on this, but on the other hand, I think this article exists solely to get clicks.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, yeah.
That doesn't really have any value personally, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, you can go for your hot take and get some likes.
Yeah.
Maybe some reaction from your followers, but do you actually feel like you said anything of value?
Well,
or
yeah,
added
exactly.
to the discourse? You just
Yeah.
spread it.
Yeah, yeah.
Spread the chaos.
Maybe
Burn it down.
Maybe we actually need to invent bad press. There's no such thing as bad press. I feel we as a society can work on that problem.
Yeah, the other issue with like game development is that the Peter Principle is in effect, so you will get pushed up the ladder, which means you go into management or production when you're a skilled tradesperson.
I once heard the military solved that problem by inventing decorations. Right? If you did a job real good, you would get a medal for that, but not necessarily a promotion.
Well, I feel like the military solved it by having like non-coms,
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
commissioned officers.
Oh
things
yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like there's an entire track in the military that is supposed to be in leadership and management that isn't like on the ground grunt fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair. Fair. Yes.
Yeah, it's very difficult for me to say specifically what I would like to do because I am a generalist and my taste is very broad and I like learning new things and checking them out. So I don't know, like level design is a massive source of appeal. But at the same time, I do like getting into some nitty gritty, like just interaction design, things like that.
Okay. Sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot if you weren't prepared to have this conversation.
I don't know. No one ever talks to me about that.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean,
So yeah, if you
Here we are.
got questions,
I imagine a lot of our audience has an interest in games
maybe
in one way or another.
potentially. Like I hear they like magic though.
Yeah, I've heard this too. And that's how we bring it full circle. Right in the top there, yeah.
Ruined your camera there.
I realized what was going on too late. Okay, so these tattoos are continuing to irritate me because they are... You ever want to see what one hair on a brush can do? See, it's right there on that finger. And it was ruining my life. Can I get the other one out?
Oh,
Yep.
little sticky boy.
Mm-hmm. Can you see?
Yeah, I can kind of see your finger.
Yeah. But
It's behind your other hand.
there it is.
Yeah.
One single hair was completely ruining my life. You wouldn't think it would do that, but here we are. Also, these brushes are old. They've served with distinction. Maybe it's time to retire them.
Gammon Neko has asked, where did I study for game development? I did computer systems technology at Grand Prairie Regional College, and then went down to the U of A for computing science and history, and then dropped out.
What did you study in history?
Warfare.
Really?
Yeah.
Neat.
And just general medieval stuff.
Cool. Any cool anecdotes?
About history?
Yeah.
Or about my classes?
Either or.
I had a prof that would take a candle of St. Jude into all exams because Jude's the patron saint of lost causes.
Right. That's probably a little grim feeling.
Mm-hmm. I spent a good amount of time trying to get one of my profs to run DOSBox because he wanted to play War in the Atlantic, but couldn't get it running, and then had to spend a lot of time convincing him that cookies are not the same as viruses. I don't know, like, a lot of the history and warfare stuff is more useful to me than the comp sci. Like, just learning, like, specifically, like, studying, like, Napoleon was great for learning how to define success your own way.
Really?
Yeah. Like, not letting other people dictate to you what success looks like.
Temba, his arms wide. More, please.
More about, like, specifically Napoleon?
Yeah.
It's just, like, he worked on coordinating battle plans with his commanders so that they could take off in different directions and meet up again at a specific location and time.
Oh, okay.
There's also stuff about, like, what Nelson did in naval battles by, like, crossing the T kind of thing.
Okay, right. The tactical maneuver where you bring all your guns to bear while your opponent can bring some or none of theirs.
Yep. Basically, everyone in one of my classes wrote, we had, for the midterm or final, to write a small essay, like just a few paragraphs on 3 topics. But the Carly float, which was, I think, for World War I, but it's a lifeboat that has a rigid internal metal frame.
Okay.
So it's like plastic covered little lifeboat, but they saved a lot of people in which war? I can't remember. Based on, it must be World War II, because it was really, machine guns couldn't sink them.
Oh, really?
Because you could puncture the metal, but it wouldn't deflate the shape of the craft.
Oh, okay. Neat.
There's a man named Gregory of Tours who went all over the place, kept a journal, and so I know that on one day it rained blood in France.
Really?
He's a cool dude.
Huh. Sounds a bit like Samuel Pepys.
Oh?
Samuel Pepys was, I forget when exactly he was, but he was a diarist, an English diarist, and he had, he was the first guy who probably over-tweeted, I guess, but it was just to him because he, like, had volumes of his diaries.
Right.
So it's just like this huge record of, like, mundane daily life.
Yes. Which is massively valuable.
And, you know, he was reasonably witty, too. So.
I was doing research for a paper on the invention of currency in, like, Italy, and discovered that Genoa has just a huge gap in history, and no one knows why.
Really?
Yeah.
That's...
Maybe there was, like, a fire.
Oh, okay.
But
there's like
there's a gap.
There's an information event horizon.
Yep. Kind of like the Dark Ages, just different. Skip Lies, are you saying that there is a Twitter account for Peeps?
That wouldn't surprise me, actually. Samuel Pepys, Peepys. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody actually just made a Twitter bot for him.
Let's see. Scipio Africanus is a cool dude, if you ever look at,
Oh.
his sack of Carthage. Also, the Romans are bad at boats, and they flooded the Colosseum to do training for naval exercises,
Huh.
but still bad at boats. They look at Corvus, and they stuck a big ramp on the front of it. It's like, that was a good idea. Like, have just a quarter of your mass. Like, they tried to tried to copy a trireme
Oh,
as
okay.
well without understanding that you needed to maintain tension along the spine of it,
Huh.
or it would just twist itself up apart.
Really? Because you always hear about the Romans described as these great engineers, not necessarily like scientists in any way, but very solid engineering principles.
Yeah, so they did like hire outside people and get their input, but you're training a bunch of slaves to row your boat instead of having like the Athenian kind of, not the same as slaves. They're like lay people who are doing a term in the military,
Okay.
or potentially are like lifers. It's like it's their trade, their craft to row boats.
Right. I mean, it seems like the kind of thing that would wind up being skilled labor. Always more details to finish. Always more details to like, be like, oh, well, I went over the line there, better fix that. And you just keep doing that back and forth forever. It never looks good. And at some point you just have to be like, you know what? Drawing the line here, we're moving on. And I think I've hit that point with this guy's runes. I think these are looking about as good as, not necessarily as I can do, but as it's useful for me to spend time on.
Right. It's always interesting also to find out kind of concurrent things that you thought were separate, like the Mongol horde and the Silk Road being at about the same time.
Huh.
In like the 1300s.
Really?
I think it was like, I'd have to look this up because this is like 10 years ago that I did these courses. Oh yeah, I also took Japanese history, which is cool.
Cool.
Yeah. Hearing about like the unification of Japan and the daimyo and all that stuff.
Any things that surprised you?
About Japan?
Yeah. Or anything that you went in and were like, oh, I didn't know that. I thought that was how this worked, and as it turns out, it's not.
It was interesting to find out that women invented the novel.
Yeah.
Yeah. That there was like just a massive art period early on in Japan that we didn't ever go through in the West. And it was kind of similar to like finding out about Italy, like how Italy wasn't a country for a very long time. It was just like divided up into these different republics.
Well, I guess the idea of a nation state is kind of recent, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, but you would think that like a place like Japan, which seems so geographically kind of
Isolated,
whole,
right.
Right.
But they had a lot of interactions with like, well, Korea and China. They're very, very close, even though it doesn't seem like it. Yeah, they tried to send a bunch of like samurai over in boats that got hit by a tornado a couple times.
It seems like a bad move on their part.
Yeah. Oh yeah, their connection with the Dutch is very interesting too. And the way they would potentially send scholars over to other countries to kind of determine whether or not there was any value in their culture.
Mm-hmm.
So things like Confucianism and Buddhism, because Buddhism definitely did not originate in Japan, but they did adopt it.
Right.
Just kind of like accepted it alongside, sort of, with Shinto and things like that.
Hmm.
Also hearing about how long the fall of Rome dragged on. Like, people are not actually sure when that happened.
Hmm.
It's just like, was it 420? Yeah.
What are the debated events?
Just like the sacking of Rome versus when the government changed.
Hmm.
And did it ever actually change significantly enough? Like, did it actually fall, or did it just kind of get absorbed into the more Eastern Empire?
The factoid that I heard that really surprised me was that Rome shrank as an empire.
Yeah.
And only ever expanded as a republic.
Mm-hmm.
That whenever they decided to, lean hard into the military, that was when they were usually, like, not doing so hot.
Yep. Well, they always needed to conquer things to get resources, and people resources specifically.
Plunder is not sustainable?
No, their model involved a constant influx of new people from somewhere,
right,
that they could totally reach.
One of the better bon mots I remember reading in the last few years was, the best thing about unsustainable things is that they end.
I feel like that applies to a lot of things that I kind of don't want to end all at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, that might be bad for people.
Yeah, probably. Point being, I wish I had taken more history in school. I wish I had taken a lot more other things in school.
Did you mainly just, like, establish your focus and then go through with that?
Yeah, well, my first degree, I wound up getting in English Lit, and I focused a lot on just English, right? Like everything. And didn't have a whole lot of focus in it, because I tried to be an English generalist, but I think I would have benefited from more history. And in my more recent degree, I kind of wish I had done way more stats and mathematics. Womp womp.
But I hate stats.
Yeah, they're just really useful though for telling you when things are
kind of okay to happen, when things are within error.
Yeah, exactly. When things are meaningful. How do we know what meaning? In English, we struggled a lot with establishing what meaning was, and how you can, determine what something's meaning is. And it turns out it's in stats.
Yeah,
the
if you're
statisticians
collecting
are
metrics
like,
of some kind, you can just
it's like,
throw those in the blender.
Yeah, it's like, well, how's the R squared?
Yeah, it's just like we have a table in the back of this textbook you could just use for anything.
Yeah. Well, that'll tell you if it's meaningful or not. Like, yeah, actually that works. Okay. So we've got the cloth base coated. We've got his hair more or less done. We've got the gold more or less done. So I think I'm prepared to start finalizing this guy. So we need to do his sideburn. And then we can begin to get going onto something new. Corey, would you mind closing the straw poll, please?
Okay. It wants me to vote. All right, I know who wins.
All right. Well, drum roll.
Tenebrial Shard!
All right. Okay, well, we'll do the Tenebrial Shard then.
Would you like to take a break at all?
Yeah. Tell you what, I'm going to finish painting this. I'm going to let it dry, and while it's drying, we'll go on break,
All right.
and then we'll get this attached, and then we'll move on with the shard, shall we? You'll get to see a bit of how these things are constructed, because God knows it's been a long time since I've built one of them.
It's just like tab B into slot A.
Oh yeah, very easy. Ha. Tools are multi-function. This is a
Side cutter.
side cutter that I've used on brass rod, so it's totally borked. I've been a bad model dad to this side cutter. You ever use somebody's cloth scissors on paper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom.
You just like, ooh, the cold sweat.
Yeah.
Right.
Didn't stop me.
Yeah. I mean, they were really sharp.
Yeah, right?
Like, they were just so sharp.
It's like that smooth action, that crunch.
Yeah. As you just blunt the edge on it.
Yeah.
Right. And then she's like, at least my mother would try to cut wool with it. And there would just be silence. And I would know that she would know that I had disobeyed her again. And there was the complex interplay of guilt. But no actual punishment.
Mostly just being told not to use those scissors for that purpose.
Please. Okay, so that's base coated. We're going to go on a 5-minute break, and when we come back, we will get the shard built. So see you on the flip side, chat. Welcome back to Tinker Tailor Solder Fry. I am Cameron, and we are completing work on the Dwarven Fire Slayer miniature. My hideous hairy arms from Warhammer Silver Tower. So we've got a little bit more work to do on him, but I need a quick palette cleanser. So I am going to assemble the Tenebrial Shard miniature. So let's get to work on that. Here's the sprue, the frame. As you can see, he's a very spiky dark elf boy. Let's get to work. I have selected a 32 millimeter base, which is what the manual says he goes on. And these minis are so interesting because in the last, 10 years or so, Games Workshop has started moving over to a computer-assisted sculpting. And what that means is that where previously their plastic miniatures may have been split up like in a kind of intuitive way with, like you would have the legs.
Yeah, you'd have like head,
one left leg, left arm, right arm, torso.
Torso, yeah.
Yeah, and you would jam those all together. Now they're splitting them up like this.
They're kind of slicing them along flat planes.
Yeah, which I assume is part of the computer assisted part.
Oh, yes.
Right? So for example, this guy's face is missing. His face is on the sprue. It's right there. Right? So his head is divided in half. Right? And then you put his face on the front. Yeah, and it makes mixing and matching way harder if you're into kit bashing miniatures. It's way trickier now.
Guess you have to like assemble the head and then cut it off.
Yeah. Bastards. But you do get you can have much more dynamic miniatures, although I think that might be a matter of handing the sculptors a lot of you can quite easily drown in the amount of detail that you can put in these things. I would say the Mistweaver, in particular, is a miniature that maybe just a touch over sculpted.
Nah.
She's very hard to get
She's
any.
very shapely.
Like it's a cool miniature, but I don't know where to look at on this one.
Just keep your eyes up here.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. All right, so we've taken half of the tenebrail shard off of the sprue, and now we're just cleaning up those contact points where the side cutters have left some sprue on the figure. We have a nice sharp number 11 X-Acto blade, and I am doing the traditional model builder's thing of just cutting towards myself, you know. Don't ever do this. My dad told me never to do this and then showed me how to do this.
The cutting your thumb off?
Yeah, basically
Yeah,
just
the pad
like,
of your thumb? Yeah.
yeah. I used to have like
A callus?
no, you don't even really get a callus. You just get a series of like white scars
Yeah.
on the pad of your
It's
thumb.
like playing a guitar.
Yeah, because you're not abrading the skin off, which
You're
is
just
what makes a
slicing
callus.
into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're just cutting into it over and over and over again.
You can get some very interesting fingerprints over time.
I can imagine. Very diagnostic ones, immediately recognizable fingerprints. Games Workshop has produced some really cool looking miniatures in the last few years, and some ones where I'm like, I don't even know what I'm looking at here. Like, oh, right. So I think it may have taken their sculptors a little while to get a handle on exactly maybe gearing down a little bit with how nuts they could go with their designs. How thick is the scar tissue? Oh, like not at all. The problem with razor cuts is that they just kind of slice your finger into sashimi, but you don't really get the benefit of scar tissue.
Yeah, it's like at worst, like one side of it peels off
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. And you get like a divot
Ugh.
for a while.
Got to smooth off his butt. He's got one of these on his butt. Can't have that. Maybe if I tried using the belly of the blade rather than the tip, I would have more fine control over it.
Yes, get more leverage on there.
Mm-hmm. So coming together. Ta-da! Boing. Having to, getting to, I guess, so, you know. Oh, wait, there's even a pin on the back of his leg. Right there. That shouldn't be there. That's not a detail. That's just a molding pin. Or an air escape pin, I guess. When you're injecting...
Yeah, they're injection molded.
Yeah, the air has to come out somewhere,
Yeah.
right?
So, Cam, to deal with this question in chat, do you have a favorite Space Marine chapter?
I used to play Raven Guard. That was back I played Raven Guard during 3rd edition Warhammer 40k, and that was back when they were just a picture in the book, right? There were pictures of many Space Marine chapters in the back of the Space Marine Codex, and I was like, that one. Those guys, the guys in all black with the white raven on their shoulder.
Right.
Let's do those guys. And I found a small Raven Guard community online, and they talked a lot about what they thought the backstory of the chapter was, because it turns out they were one of the original, 20 or 18 Space Marine legions. They were nearly eradicated in the Istven drop massacres during the Horus Heresy. And that was canon, right? So they're like, oh, well, how can that make for an interesting story? And so they decided that the Raven Guard probably had to try to reinflate their numbers very quickly after that drop site massacre, if they needed to keep fighting in the Horus Heresy, because it was very much a fight for survival and all hands on deck situation, so that they turned to cloning. And I remember reading one post where a guy was like, so Space Marines have this organ in their body where they can absorb memories from people by eating them. So what if they clone themselves, and the first thing they do when they wake up is they have to eat
someone.
Eat their old self.
Oh.
And I'm like, that's the fucking raddest thing I've ever heard. That's profoundly stupid, but
like,
also kind of totally rad.
Yeah, it's like down and out in the Magic Kingdom, but also...
Yeah, like
very flavorful.
You wake up, and the first thing you're fed is like this cold, gray gruel.
That makes you remember.
Yeah, that makes you remember things.
And then in those memories, potentially like what you're eating and why you're eating it is in there.
Yeah.
But it's already like Warhammer is such a cruel universe.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not outside of the realm of normalcy. Just it's gross.
Yeah, it's just yeah.
It's just like insta PTSD.
Yeah, and maybe the last thing you remember is taking a bolt gun round to the chest. Showed up to what would happen if you showed up at a 40k event at an LGS with a large, expensive, completely unpainted army? You'd probably fit right in, depending on the store.
As long as you can distinguish your pieces from the others.
Yeah, I think for a long time Games Workshop had a policy where in their stores you weren't allowed to play with unpainted miniatures.
Really?
Yeah, and then they realized that was just an enormous barrier to entry for a lot of people. That a lot of people wanted to be able to buy their armies and assemble them and then have a hobby for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Of
like
painting
you've already
them.
got to take them off the sprue and glue them together.
Yeah.
That's already
And I think
a step.
Yeah, I think they recognized that was not a great policy for a lot of people. Because, I mean, people want to play, right? They bought your game nominally to play it. But I know at the tournaments that I participated in back home in Prince George, that was an all-painted tournament.
I wonder if you were at like White Wolf when I was a kid.
Possibly. Or Great White.
Great White, yeah.
Great
That's
White.
Right. Great White, yeah.
The guy
Next
who
to
owned
the-
that
next to the
place,
theater.
man, hated that guy. Not hated, but he was an LGS owner guy. But when he would go to trade shows in the United States, man, people had some odd expectations about what that store was about.
Oh. Like my mom was into painting figures, and like she did model train stuff.
Ooh.
So she was constantly painting little figures, and getting like a Skaven army
Ooh.
that we could paint together was a great step up. And going over to Great White and looking at like the display case of painted tanks and stuff like that. Because like you can't have a Warhammer store without like a display case.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You have to show off like all the cool looking stuff, right? Because honestly, it's kind of sweet when it gets all together.
Yeah, and it was right next to the theater, so you could go to see a movie, hang out at the strip mall, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I used to hang out at that place quite a lot. it had a good community, I remember, or at least a large community, an active community. It was where I found my first games of D&D. We were all joined together in our shared bafflement by magic nerds. We were like, magic nerds.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, whereas I was just sticking in the library reading the comic books and like staying in the mezzanine at PGSS. With my other loner singular friend. Or my cousin.
Now I am one of those magic nerds.
Oh!
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh man, grew up so quickly.
Yep. Things change. Okay, so I'm gluing the Tenebriel shard with his tiny little foot pad
Aww.
way at the back of the base.
He's
so
like
that,
a Clydesdale.
yeah.
Oh.
Plastic cement's really great stuff if you use just a little bit of it on both surfaces.
That was so fast.
It's way, 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 way better than using Yeah, I suppose I deserve that. It's way better
I
than
almost
using.
caught it too.
Yeah, it's way better than using like Zap-A-Gap, cyanoacrylate super glue.
No, any adhesive that you have to apply to both surfaces is great.
Yeah. So what this does is it melts the plastic a little bit,
Yep.
and then when the solvent dries, then the plastic reforms. And it is one piece of plastic, so it's quite strong relative to the, I find, relatively brittle hold that you get from super glue. And depending on this kind of super glue you're using, it can be quite, Zap-A-Gap is quite thick, right? Because it's also doubles as a gap filler, hence the name.
So you get a lumpy foot.
Yeah, it can get a little bit lumpy if you have to, if it breaks, then you have to like snap it off and scrape it off. And it can get kind of gluey. And Zap, is really, really thin and hard to control, in my experience. But this, which is just Tester's, I think this is probably just acetone, actually.
Yeah. Give it a whiff. I didn't say deeply. Yeah. Just like
Sure is
perfume.
acetone. Yeah. So this is not even a bottle I like that much because it's very tall and the base is relatively low. So I've actually knocked this bottle over before.
Ooh. But at least
Luckily it was on a glass tabletop.
Yeah, and the brim is pretty wide.
Yeah. Normally they come in lower, broader bottles.
Fat.
I think they learned that from the ink people.
That explains a lot about ink pots.
Yep. You never want to knock them over because it's just an utter bastard to deal with.
Yeah, I know that, but I didn't realize they were short and wide. I thought it was like an aesthetic, traditional thing. It's just like, we do keep doing this because we don't know why. Like the number 2 pencil, right?
Yeah. Okay, so there we have the beginnings of our spiky boy. Now we need arms. Well, there they are. This guy's very spiky. He's covered in all kinds of meat hooks. Maybe they aren't all meat hooks. Maybe some of them are vegetable hooks or bread hooks. I don't know. Does he have a dough hook on here? For your kitchen stand mixer.
Oh, I know. It often is crawling across my kitchen floor.
Oh, I guess you have to take it off the counter, don't you? Otherwise, like,
It
that's probably a
moves.
mistake that you don't make twice, right?
Yeah.
Like having... God, those things can get expensive,
Yeah.
right? Having one of those things careen off the counter, creating a yeasty disaster on the floor.
Nah, we ours is an inheritance.
Oh, okay.
So it's that aged yellow plastic. Not the KitchenAid.
I want to get one of the, like, the stainless steel ones in that green.
Oh.
You know, that green.
Yep. Kind of like the egg barbecues.
Yeah.
Yeah. Want one of the egg barbecues, by the way?
You know, you got to make your own staff of life, as Akewood told us. Ha, that's his wrong arm. Okay. Wait, what? Thumbs go on the inside, right?
Thumbs go up. I mean, you can make them go down, but it's effort.
What in the tits is going on here? I feel like I've totally forgotten how bodies are supposed to work. Okay, there we go. There we go. That's normal now. That's how a body comes together. Yeah. Okay. That's what somebody looks like when they run. When you looking like a snack, but they got stuffed at dinner. Why did I say that? Goodbye.
So Cam, where did you get your first degree from?
UNBC, University
Okay.
of Northern British Columbia,
Yeah.
which is where I met Kathleen.
Oh. Oh, was she on the paper there?
Yep,
Oh.
over the edge.
See, I'd stay down at like CNC.
Mm.
So my family worked at West Coast,
Oh, okay.
so it was like very close by. Managed to wiggle my way into getting a library card, even though I wasn't a student. The College of New Caledonia.
It was actually a very well-respected trade school.
Oh yeah,
Isn't it?
Yeah. And the library was fantastic. Lots of trade manuals there.
I had a friend who wound up doing their IT for a really long time.
Oh.
One of my best friend from high school wound up running their IT department. I think he went on to work for the health district.
A large portion of my family has ended up there. My stepbrother in forestry and at UNBC rather.
Again, like UNBC is a quite well-respected small university. Consistently performs very well in Maclean's rankings
Yep.
of
And that's really all that matters.
I suppose it does. Okay, looking at how this guy comes together now. His left arm, you'll see, winds up his left arm over here. Just adjusting the cameras. So you see all this flowing detail on his hair over here. Winds up being covered by the way his left arm attaches to his torso.
Oh, but from top down, it'll show up great.
Hopefully. Hopefully. There. That's where it goes. But... blah. Sorry, the mirror imaging just kind of completely messes with my ability to conceive of three-dimensional space. Blah. So I'm not sure whether I want to attach this arm right away or not, or whether it can wait. But the right arm can go right on, I feel.
It doesn't block any of your strokes.
No. Should be quite tidy there. Might also help to balance the miniature just a little bit. Although these are, quite light.
But you do have a lot of stress on just that one foot.
Mm-hmm.
Another interesting topic was Ian and I acquired the 3D printer that was sent to the moon base for mail time.
Mm-hmm.
And there are vast libraries of figures you can print.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yes. So I've considered taking our pink PLA and extruding myself a little friend to come in and join you with.
That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Just not entirely certain what would be useful to end up with, because either I have to store it or the office gets to keep it.
Well, I mean, could live with you. It would be your friend. You can work on a private project, I'm sure. You know what? I'm going to put both of his arms on. Why not? Let's be bold. Let's throw caution to the wind.
Ooh. I mean, you can always break it off if you need to.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it would be a good idea to just have, like, the 3D printer running in the background. Extruding.
That would be kind of fun,
Yeah.
right?
It is fun to watch.
Look at this guy. That's a cool figure. I know what's going on with this figure, looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
His body language is fairly easy to parse. He's got not exactly a clean silhouette, but recognizable limbs at least. Silhouettes are very important for miniatures, for tabletop miniatures.
Quite.
Because you need to be able to,
Tell your units apart.
yeah, and be like, that's the one with the heavy weapon, and that's a guy with a rifle, and that's a sergeant, and that's,
Yep.
that's the commander. Actually, I am going to stand up for a second and show you examples of really good silhouettes in miniatures.
I'll just leave it on close cam there.
Yeah. So these are the HeroQuest figures,
Ah, right. Yes.
right? Like the
Very
barbarian.
distinct.
Yeah. The elf. These are miniatures. These are miniatures I prepared earlier. The wizard. And the dwarf, right?
So if you line those up in front of your Silver Tower figures.
Oh, okay. Right, like these aren't the most detailed miniatures ever. They're at the least. But they get the job done.
It's like they're a consistent size and you can see where they kind of reused some of the like foot spacing,
Yeah.
but they're doing different things with their arms and they're wearing different things.
Yep. They're easily parsable. I mean, they don't hold a candle in detail to the newer generation ones, but they definitely get the job done. They're primitive but not unsophisticated, I guess. Hopefully that little aside gave the Tenebriel shard some time to solidify.
You can just count to 30.
Mm. Then he's got his face, which I'll put on. You're going out, you got to put on your face.
Just keep mine in a jar by the door.
Mm. Yeah. Did you ever see that webcomic? The guy, I forget who drew it, but it was about Eleanor Rigby and him misinterpreting the song Eleanor Rigby as a child.
I deliberately interpret the song.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Eleanor Rigby keeps her face in a jar by the door.
Yeah. Who is it for?
Yeah, who is it for? And he was like, I guess Eleanor Rigby is some kind of monster?
Yeah, serial killer, definitely. Like, the whole thing takes place in, like, a churchyard with a grave
Yeah,
site.
and then, like, she has to go and fight the priest.
Yeah. I've not seen this comic, but
It's really good.
it's like that and Maxwell's Silver Hammer are just, like, gruesome songs.
Blah. No. This is where I miss my tweezers. I don't know what happened to my tweezers. There. Face assembled. He looks fast. Boing. And then he has a thing on his chest. I believe he does have a thing on his chest. Good for him.
Is it, like, very form-fitting?
It's like a, it looks like a metal harness of some kind. We'll have to see how it actually fits on.
That reminds me of the No Man's Sky update. Have you gotten into it at all?
I still have not bought that game. I've heard it's really good now, though.
I appreciate the changes they made.
Mm-hmm.
I always liked it.
Okay.
I understood where people were disappointed with features they felt were promised.
Yeah. Like, I remember Graham saying, like, No Man's Sky was exactly the game that he wanted it to be, because he wanted a game where you would fly through space and land on a planet and look around at it for a little while, then leave.
Yep.
And he found that very meditative.
Yes. And now you can spend way more time on a planet.
Okay.
Yeah. I loaded it up. Couldn't launch myself from a space station, so I made a new game. and ended up on a radioactive planet that was trying to kill me. And I found 2 downed freighters, and I was like, this is sweet.
Cool.
It's got enough of the old game in it that it's still fun, and enough new stuff that I'm like, oh, what's this tasty new feature?
Okay.
I do not appreciate one specific change.
Oh, really?
I have an opinion about it.
Okay.
For interactions with repairs, the camera swings around to be like a consistent distance and angle from the thing. Like you come across like these downed beacons that are like old space landers
Okay.
kind of thing. And so you like go up to interact with it, and it swings the camera all the way around.
Oh.
And then frames the beacon correctly, and then at somewhere on the screen will be an interaction point. Because
Okay.
you have to, like, mouse over this thing to see what resources you need to devote to repairing it. But you don't know where that picture will be. It's going to be somewhere.
Okay.
Somewhere there's something that you have to interact with on the screen after the camera has done a big sweeping move.
So it's a little disorienting?
Just a tiny bit.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my gripe. It's not the lack of butterflies. It's that this camera does a weird thing. It throws me off.
I appreciate those really specific, like, technical insights. Or, like, not even technical insights, but, like, this thing in particular.
Yep, this one thing hurts me every time. Makes the game a little more difficult to play. Yes, Ferocious Peach points out a story that I retweeted. Someone posted a thread of like a planet they landed on with their friends that was completely barren, and they kept finding these objects called humming eggs.
Oh, I think I saw this thread.
Yeah.
It was so good.
And
but
the humming eggs existed in the previous version. But just the generated narrative that playing with friends can have is very nice. And like when I loaded up the game from the update, the first screen is just like create or play a game or join game.
Okay.
It's like now you can just join your friends
Hmm.
and you can customize your look, which is kind of where I was thinking about the harness. 'Cause
Okay.
you can set what your player character's armor looks like.
Okay. So when you join a game, is there like one big server? Or is it more like Minecraft?
It's always had a unified universe. Like it's all procedurally generated, but it's based on the same seed.
Okay.
Like you're communicating with the same server, so you can always you have always been able to run across things that other people have named
Okay.
and things like that. But now you can actually see other people in the same space.
Okay.
Before you could travel to the same planet and know that you were in the same place as someone else, but not see them.
Hmm.
And there was no way to interact across games.
Right. That yeah, I
Or
could see
instances, yeah.
Yeah, I could see how people would be disappointed by that. Okay. So we've got his chest covered by this little armor plate. We have his face installed, his left and right arms. His two halves are together. That leaves his cloaky thing, which I assume is a waist piece. It is. That was supposed to go on before the arms.
Oh,
So
Does
read
it
your instructions.
get up in there?
Yeah, it might. Hopefully, we're still able to get it in there fairly cleanly. Read the instructions, kids. It explains what you're supposed to do. this is definitely made out of a person. Well, I mean, part of a person.
Username has posted the official usernames draw poll, and I feel like I voted counter to the majority.
Oh dear. Well, hopefully it has a happy ending for me.
Mm-hmm. It's more tautological than it usually is.
Okay. I think I like that.
Yeah, there's only 2 options.
Where does this even begin to go? Oh, interesting. 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 That's why they wanted the arms to go on afterwards. It goes.
Ah, like a bustle.
Yeah, a little bit. Like a skin bustle.
Ugh. I think that's like, what, gout? What causes that?
I don't know. Luckily, plastic is a fairly pliable material.
Unlike skin.
Yeah, which I assume gets kind of crumbly after a while.
Just dry.
Yeah. Okay, so the dry fitting. Yeah, that works. Okay. So we can actually just probably use a little bit of capillary action. Capillary? Capillary?
I say capillary for that specific use.
Just put a little bit of cement there and there. Let it get drawn into the gap and then attach.
Yeah, capillary is kind of like aesthetic versus ascetic. It's kind of like there's capillaries in your body.
Oh, okay, right. That do
But-
capillary action.
Yeah, there's capillary action which I first heard from like studying electronics and doing soldering. Or soldering, as Ian might say. Solder, yes. Just the magic of surface tension.
Solder. It's like a salve or a bomb.
I always say salve. Salve? Salve.
I always thought the L was like not quite voiced in one of those weird English unrules.
And I also say balm.
Bomb.
But I also say
Bound.
both.
Both? Now I'm only ever going to be able to say both.
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 You know, both of those.
How totally is actually spelled Toddally.
Totally.
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 Totally. I a few years ago I made the effort to try to pronounce water with a T.
Oh, water
Just because I liked how it sounded.
versus water.
Water. Wodder.
How do you do with the regional quarter?
Quarter?
Yeah, that's a regional accent thing.
Wooder?
Whoa, Dix. Whoa. That's extreme. Wooder.
Oh yeah, the pronunciation of Trona is a Canadian
Oh,
shibboleth. Trona?
Yeah. Well, so is Calgary.
Calgary. Not now I don't know how to pronounce it. I live there.
Calgary.
Calgary.
Twilliger.
Calgary.
Although, Kathleen lived in Chetwynd but she pronounces the D on the end,
Huh.
which is very weird as a northern BCer to me.
Yeah. Chetwin.
Yeah, Chetwin. There's a D on the end, but
Yeah.
it's not there.
Well, yeah, and even that CH gets smeared around a lot until it's almost like Chetwin.
Yeah.
Like CCSCH? Chetwin?
Chetwin. Yeah.
Calgary.
Calgary. Like Gary, Indiana.
Yeah, Calgary.
But it's more like cow.
Yeah, Calgary. Yeah.
Calgary.
Yeah, that A definitely wants you to know it's there.
Oh, Newfoundland. Yeah. Edmonton.
I remember hearing when I was a kid quite frequently that Canadians have a neutral accent.
Yes. We've got the...
Mid-Atlantic?
We have the neutral accent. At least the Western Canadians. The Eastern and very North have the extreme,
Like, oh yeah, eh?
oh yeah, take off, eh?
Yeah.
No dude about it.
Couple of hockey players drive up to the fruit stand.
Oh yeah.
Okay. He's together.
Swag.
So our spiky gothy boy.
Alright, just pull him back a little bit towards your body. Swag. He is very spiky. Are those horns his?
Now they are.
Oh.
Oh, there we go. There's the focal plane. Okay, this guy is kind of wild.
It's standing on a tentacle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like it was there.
Is it plant or octopus?
Plantopus. Okay. How do we even begin with this guy? Because this is like the goth boy dream, right? He would have like marble white skin and then just like the
Whoa.
blackest pleather pants,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Just
Somebody-
like a desiccated corpse.
Yeah. Somebody bring up a picture of Peter Steele.
Don't try this yourself. It's extremely dangerous.
Okay. 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 Let's start with the flesh tone.
Apodo Nuevo has a question saying, I live in Pennsylvania. I think we might be the only state that often refers to itself by our postal code, spoken aloud PA. Does any other state province do that? We live in BC.
Yeah, British Columbia.
Yeah.
British,
That's way
BC
too
is-
long to say.
Yeah. I mean, even New Brunswick. They,
NB?
NB? They don't say NB.
No, they say New Brunswick.
Brunswick.
Or Brunswick.
Yeah. What
I
is
think
it?
it's
heard
just
like,
BC.
Yeah.
Only BC does the initial, like, A. Alberta doesn't do AB. Saskatchewan doesn't do SK.
Yeah. PEI.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, PEI. Lester the Lobster.
That might be like
for
Prince Ed, though.
PEI.
Or just say Charlottetown.
Connecticut just cuts it down to CT.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, no one says District of Columbia. It's always DC.
Yep. Not a real state. Different thing.
PEI is often just the island.
Yes, the island. Which gets confusing with Vancouver Island. Because we're also the island. Failhammer often hears WA instead of Western Australia. I've never heard anyone from Australia refer to their... Are they states in Australia or provinces? Because, like, there's Victoria and Queensland.
Western Australia.
And North?
I don't know. I don't know all the...
Yeah, what are the...
States? There's states?
Yeah, what are all the Australian states? Sorry, fellow Commonwealth.
Lay 'em on us, eh?
Oh, yeah. 5 states, 2 territories. Are your territories also up north? Oh, or are they the island? Like Tasmania. Dwayne, if you refer to an island as the island, and there's an island on the west and an island on the east, yes, you can confuse them.
Yeah, especially if you're not near either of those places right now. Like, where are you from? Oh, the island.
Especially if you're up in, like, the oil fields or something like that.
Yeah.
You get a lot of Maritimers.
Yep.
Especially Newfoundlanders, but...
Yeah, well, I mean, isn't the joke that Fort McMurray is the second largest city in Newfoundland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly like that.
Okay, so we're starting off with a little bit of Vallejo Pale Flesh as his bass tone. But don't worry, we're not staying there for long.
So Philhammer says New South Wales, Queensland, Tasmania, Western Australia, South Australia are the states. Tasmania is a state. Which is weird.
Gross.
I didn't know there was a Sydney in Nova Scotia. Our Sydney's part of the Vancouver amalgam, isn't it? Or is ours on the island?
Sydney? Sydney's on the island. Sydney
Yeah,
by the sea? It's
right.
that
Yeah. Yes. It is.
that way. Why did I point up?
Oh, they don't know where the office is geographically.
Oh.
I mean, the moon base. We're on the moon. Up on the moon. Pointing towards Earth.
Oh, I'm so stupid. I feel so stupid.
There's also a Vancouver in Washington, which sucks. You heard me. Vancouver, Washington sucks.
I wouldn't know. I've never been.
I've never been there, but I've heard enough about it to know that it's in Washington.
Not a great starting place.
No.
Then I'm gonna add a little bit of, is it Space Wolf Gray?
There's also a Grand Prairie, Texas, which was awesome and confusing when I was in Alberta. In Grand Prairie, Alberta. Spelled different, though.
Oh, really? No E?
Ish, yeah. One of the E's is less there.
Grand Prairie. So I'm mixing together Space Wolf Gray, or Citadel Space Wolf Gray, and Vallejo Pale Flesh as the base tone for this guy's skin. We'll see how that looks. I think this is very similar to how I did the Mistweaver's skin.
There's an Ottawa, Ohio?
Huh.
You know Oregon's state animal is the beaver? It's just rude.
Selfish.
Whoa, and Rhode Island's full name is Rhode Island and Providence Plantations? But that's like, we don't say Newfoundland and Labrador.
Mm-hmm.
No one says that. We've been talking about Newfoundland all right.
Sorry, I keep pulling this away from where you focus the camera. You're right, I suppose I am the talent here, aren't I?
I mean, I could have made Beej stay here. Maybe in like, Beej, stay here. Run the camera. Very important. These models move around a lot.
I'm sure he would have really appreciated that. I didn't take off one of the marks on his foot. This is fine. This is fine. Professionals do this all the time. There's a London, England?
And there's a Miami in Queensland.
Oh, they just keep copying us.
Damn.
All right. I feel that this will give his skin an appropriate ashiness or ashen quality.
So what level of degree is your English lit?
Oh, it's just a bachelor's degree.
So you didn't have to do like a very special study on like like James Joyce or something?
No, I mean, I didn't do an honors dissertation at all. I kind of wish I had.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I like that kind of thing. Looking back on my chem honors dissertation, I found it really enjoyable. I learned more doing that than I think I learned during the entire rest of the degree, although the entire rest of the degree was very important for me to be able to get there. But I felt I learned as much doing my degree, or doing that paper, as I did doing the rest of everything.
Like having a specific focus and having a specific topic and problem to solve is very helpful.
Yeah, well, and it's your own, right? You feel a certain sense of ownership for it. An honors dissertation? Oh, no, it's nothing like a master's thesis. It is a baby version of one of those things.
It's like kind of a paper.
Yeah, it's a big paper, basically, and, they have you defend it. Or at least they did at my school.
Do you have to defend against like a panel or?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they aren't really there to, like, fail you or send you back. They're there to, like...
Give you feedback.
Yeah. It's a practice thing. Basically.
But it feels like it's life.
Yeah. How kindergartners get to wear like mortar boards and robes, and they get a little
No.
degree when they graduate from
Not at
kindergarten?
mine.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. You've never seen kindergartners do that?
No,
Makes
I went
them-
to West Side.
It makes them feel really special.
Yeah.
And I think that's basically what the honors defense is
I think it was in
for undergrads.
Like, 9th grade when I learned that some grades have like graduations for their grade.
Really?
Yeah, because it was just at that time it was like, oh, you can get a letter grade. You can get like you can wear the school letters.
Oh.
Yeah, if
Well.
you have like distinguished yourself. I was like, what?
Yeah, the one I went through for the undergrad honors defense is very it's like the Duplo of defending a thesis.
Aww. That makes it sound so achievable.
Hmm.
It's like, I'm as good as Duplo.
The Diet Coke of thesis defense.
Whoa. Tastes just like real Coke. Yeah, all of my schooling was just like, here, do some labs.
Mm.
And then, for other things, write some papers. Spend some time in the library. And then spend the rest of your night in the lab.
Yeah, like, a lot of undergrad is not nearly as interesting and helpful as it could be, I found.
Comp
Like-
Sci undergrad is like 80-hour weeks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when we got into upper division chem labs, those, you had your lab block, but that was not,
No.
was not enough,
No,
right?
we had 24-hour access to the labs.
Yeah, because, you would make something one day, and then you would have to come back the next day and
Yep.
rotovap it, and the labs were just kind of open, right? And everyone hung out in the lab building working, right? But you would have to synthesize your products, and then you would have to go and like isolate them the next day and then run your spectra. It all felt very grown up. It was nice. Right? You would be able to discuss your results with your friends, even though you were all working on different things.
I
Because
suppose,
you would be
yeah.
given, like in my third year inorganic chemistry lab, we were just given the paper, right? Be like, here, do this.
Right. Yeah, like for work, at the beginning I had to like reproduce some white paper stuff, but that was kind of the first time I had done something like that.
Okay.
Previously, it was just kind of a like computers are very broad, so like figuring out how to build an application versus set up a web server is kind of what you need. And you need to understand things like telecommunication networks and how CPUs work.
Right. Like, yeah, I guess an undergraduate degree in computer science kind of has to, like, is that why they split it off into, now that you'll have like computer science, then you also have software engineering?
Yes, they're different things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where a computer scientist might spend more time, like, I guess on lower level stuff or higher level stuff? How does it go?
It depends. It depends
Really?
on your focus.
Oh, okay.
Some like comp sci focuses could be like interpreting camera footage, where you need some high level business. But if you're doing more of the engineering route, you need to know like very low level, very close to the metal.
Cool.
Yeah, at U of A they were very into VR and biological sciences.
Okay.
So like MRI imaging,
Neat.
yeah, as a cool thing, or the cave, which is a, I guess projected VR environment. I never went in there.
Okay.
Or like at the time it was before they did the like holographic music concerts. So that was a thing that was very much coming up,
I have never heard of that.
like the Hatsune Miku or the
Oh.
holographic.
Oh,
2-pack.
okay, right.
Yeah.
God, when they announced that there was going to be a holographic Prince at the Super Bowl,
Yes.
playing with my comment on it, I felt this tweet did not get enough attention, would be that Prince would just materialize as a hologram and say, computer, arch, and then the entire broadcast would just come down. There would be distant rumbling. That would have made me happy. I'd have been like, yeah, Justin Timberlake deserves that one.
Yeah, and then there's fields that run very close to psychology.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess if you're dealing with like, I don't know, language and like
Just
AI
human
work.
users
Oh, really?
communicating with people. How do you communicate something with people? How do you make something easy for a person to do?
Interesting.
Because like
Right.
you have to make them understand that they can touch something. That something on the screen is an option.
Right. Yeah, how do you make your UI intuitive? Well, what's intuition?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Where is a person looking? There's one of my profs was doing a specific study on like saliency, which is not like saltiness, but like where a person's focus is. So they like do eye tracking while a person was using a computer and look at where that person was looking to analyze the screen they were looking at.
Okay. Right, like what elements drew their attention there?
Just where does a person start when they look at a screen?
Hmm.
Like, are you at the middle? Do you zigzag across? Do you circle around the edges?
Neat.
And then there's crossovers with that in like robotics, of course.
I guess, yeah.
You have to make things easy for the robots to do too.
Right. I'd heard recently that psychologists were now thinking that the uncanny valley doesn't actually exist.
That seems reasonable.
That may have just been some bad data. And that the uncanny valley does not really exist as a thing. That we don't have a...
I don't think there's a specific criteria that causes it.
Yeah.
But there is definitely something there that causes us to, like, squeak out a little bit with, like, undead zombies kind of thing, like jerky movement, stuff that isn't quite lifelike.
Right.
But we interpret things that are not done by lifelike things as lifelike all the time.
Right.
Like if you look at, in robotics, there's a simple robot called a turtle.
Okay.
That just has like one or two very simple instructions, or maybe a little bit more, but its behavior is something that we recognize as kind of lifelike. So the fact that we can
attribute to it, like, or that,
like, anthropomorphize inanimate things,
right?
But see something that's supposed to be communicating life to us as unlifelike, which is where the uncanny valley hits.
That must be very frustrating.
Yes.
Where people are like, look, you talk to your fucking Roomba.
Yeah.
But you are repulsed.
Yeah, and it also kind of changes based on time and culture. Kind of like that, where that alienness sits.
Right. Pareidolia, seeing faces and things. I'm not even sure that's really a necessary criterion here. Like, the one that sprang to mind is like people with their Roombas, right?
Yeah. A Roomba's basically a turtle.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's just like our stupid meat brains going, animal.
But it's like it's doing a task that we find valuable.
Right.
And like normal turtles are like light seeking or light running away kind of thing. It's just like there's an input, and if it's within this range, the turtle runs away from it or towards it. And we're just like, hey, the little robot wants to see the light.
Right.
Look at the little turtle go.
Yeah.
Go, little turtle.
Yeah. Like the spider bot with the plant on its back.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah.
But big dog, terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Big dog, people kick it, and everyone's like, yeah, share the video. Kick the dog.
Yes.
Right?
Dogs shouldn't have snake heads.
Yeah. Also, that little spider bot with the plant on its back, is there a Bulbasaur skin for that yet?
I want to.
Yeah, that should quite clearly have a Bulbasaur body.
But 6 legs?
I'm sure they could work on that.
Isn't it a heptapod?
Was it a heptapod?
I think it is. I'm trying to remember.
Huh. Neat. Oh yeah, where Tacitus Vigil. That's what's her name, Lieutenant. That's in Q Who.
Ah.
Gomez. Is it Ensign Gomez? Lieutenant Gomez?
I think Ensign.
Yeah, she's the one who spills hot cocoa on Picard, and then they go and fight the Borg.
Yep.
Sonia, not Selena.
Selena Gomez is a real person.
Oh, right. That would probably be why I thought of that. I'm going to say.
I think we've got just enough time for you to do a coat on the skin.
Okay. And then thanking subs and donors, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Filthy chat. Okay, so that's the base skin tone we're going with.
Yeah, I see some of that paleness you were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be great when there's more to contrast with it.
Yeah. This one will be a fairly, like, monochromatic miniature, I think. Especially compared to something that's really quite bright and colorful, like the Fire Slayer. Oh, we should glue on his sideburn.
All right.
Let's do
great.
that while we're thanking subs, shall we?
All right. Do you want me to load that up?
Yeah.
I can alternate with you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Tell me when to go.
Give me 30 seconds here. No. No. No, 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 no. Yes. No. Yes. Yes. No. Okay, we can start there.
You want to turn him around? Yeah.
I mean, we'll need to,
Oh, yes.
yeah, we'll need to do more work on that.
I mean, maybe he just got his hair did.
Yeah. He's got the, yeah, it's a highlighting.
Yeah. Deliberate on his part.
Yeah, that on purpose.
Yep. All right, let's start. You go first.
Okay. Dakin 1993 is reset for the 7th month. Thank you.
And Cavalry Wolfpack for 9 months. Happy sub, baby.
Butts have come back for the 8th month of butting at things.
And Eshericha Cole for 54 months. Wow, that is substantial.
Anarin has come back for the 2nd month, courtesy of Broken Golem.
And Prometheus Teus is a new subscriber. Hey, thanks for your support this month.
Forlorgan has come back for the 2nd month. Yeah, Cam, you have great minis and Storm is awesome. Keep on kicking ass. Well, I'll try.
Yaml for 7 months. Wham, bam, it's 7 months, Cam.
Joyful Chaos has come back for the 20th month. Thank you for your enduring support.
Senor Diablo for 4 months. Fantastic work on those runes, Cam.
Thank you. Lord of the Froze has come back for the 8th month. Video description is a falsehood. How can Cameron be lonesome when he has chat?
A parked car for 15 months. Welcome back.
Love Python is a brand new subscriber. Welcome to the channel. And
Let's
thank
put
you for
the knife
deciding.
away.
Let's put the knife away.
Call Me CJ is a new subscriber. Welcome to the channel.
Limalum has come back, or is a brand new subscriber. Wow, welcome.
Nisea 31 for 6 months. Still cooking the sub, baby. Good work.
Moral Bacteria has come back for the 21st month. And for 650 bits, we give thanks to Inkslayer, Azershock, Lord Crusher, Rocky Boy 78, and E Block. So what's up tomorrow?
We got
Now Kiss.
Now,
Or
Now Kiss is canceled. We've got the crapshoot.
Right.
Going
We're
first thing in
We're
the
rolling
morning.
straight into the crapshoot at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, and then on to MTG for Friday Night Paper Fight.
Yeah, where I believe we have the boys playing Arch Enemy.
Ah,
I think. I want to say.
I want to say that too.
Consider the schedule, though.
Yes.
Consult the schedule.
Please check out loadingreadyrun.com/live for the updated schedule. Also, a note that Loading Ready Live was on there earlier today and has been removed as it is not happening tomorrow.
Oh yes,
I mean,
have a
Saturday.
thing. We have a thing to film on Saturday.
We
that
got a
is
thing,
important.
a fun thing. We'll have fun. Who knows about you? I hope you have fun too.
I mean, we would like to have fun as well. Anyway, I will see you all tomorrow on tomorrow's crapshoot. So until then, take care of one another and have a great night or afternoon or whatever time of day. When is this? Goodbye. Get out of here. Run and play.